If there's one trope that action anime are known for, it's characters yelling the name of their signature move before or as they're executing the attack. Even if they don't shout the name, signature moves are a big part of anime in general, which is why we decided to take a look at some of the coolest and most badass signature attacks, techniques, and powers of all anime. Starting off, we have arguably the most famous signature attack in all of anime, the Kamehameha. While there are many other uses of this move, and Goku was not the originator of the Ki Blast attack, it's undoubtedly most associated with Dragon Ball's main protagonist. Yes, despite Master Roshi developing the technique, it's eventually become synonymous with Goku, going on to be his go-to attack when things get rough. Again, there are other users of the Kamehameha, but the move is without a doubt Goku's signature attack. It's also one of the coolest attacks in all of anime. Although it's just a simple charged-up extended blast of energy, it's the simplicity that makes it so iconic and awesome, since it's easily imitatable and has gone on to inspire many other anime attacks. Any way you put it, the Kamehameha is anime's most iconic signature attack. Next up, we have a signature move from one of the most popular anime of the last few years, My Hero Academia's Detroit Smash. For those who don't know, this attack was originated by All Might, the top hero of Japan in the world of My Hero Academia. All Might, for some reason, likes to name his attacks after states and cities in America, his Detroit Smash being the most commonly used. Due to how much of a fan of All Might series protagonist Izuku Midoriya is, he took to adding the Detroit Smash to his arsenal, making it both of their signature moves. As for how awesome the attack is, it's pretty much just a strong punch with a weird name. But what makes it so badass is the fact that in some instances, the wind pressure created from this attack is what deals the most damage. If you had to name an anime that's just as popular now as Dragon Ball was in its prime, the answer would likely be One Piece, the only manga from Shonen Jump's Big Three that's still running to this day. Like Dragon Ball, the main character has his own signature move. For Goku, it was the Kamehameha, and for Luffy, it's his Gum Gum Pistol. The name of the attack is in reference to the Gum Gum fruit, a magical fruit that Luffy ate that gave him his super stretching powers. With these powers, Luffy has come up with a large number of creative and unique ways to fight, but he still relies heavily on his go-to. It's a basic punch enhanced by Luffy stretching back his arm for more torque and force, making for one of the series' most iconic and badass signature moves. Going back to Dragon Ball, let's look at the signature move that was so creative and powerful that other characters started frequently using it, the Destructo Disc. The creation and signature attack of Crillon, this move consists of spinning an energy ball until it becomes a flat buzzsaw-like weapon that'll cut through practically anything it comes into contact with. Crillon first broke out the Destructo Disc during his fight with Nappa. From then on, others began using the technique, which, along with the fact that Crillon was the first character to come up with spinning his energy to make it a more effective weapon, are 2 points that fans use to argue that Crillon is the strongest human in the series. Regardless of whether this is true or not, the point still stands that Krillon's signature move is awesome, powerful, insanely effective, and completely badass. Next up, we have Pikachu's signature Thunderbolt attack. Specifically, we're talking about all the times that Ash has told Pikachu to use Thunderbolt to rid himself and his friends of that pesky Team Rocket. All the times the Team Rocket was sent blasting off again were usually due to Pikachu's Thunderbolt, so in a way, it's the ultimate problem solver. All jokes aside, there's no denying that Pikachu's signature attack, specifically Ash's Pikachu in the anime, is Thunderbolt. As for how awesome the attack is, do we even need to talk about how badass it is that an adorable yellow mouse basically summons forth the power of Thor to strike down those who he deems evil? In the world of My Hero Academia, the students of UA High School are given some of the best possible guidance in learning to become a professional hero. While a lot of this is hard training and tough trials, there are some fun bits that come up, like getting to come up with their own super move, an attack to turn the tide of the fight by maximizing quirk output in a tight spot. There were a number of super moves to come out of this training, but Bakugo's was definitely the coolest. Known as Armor-Piercing Shot, this attack consists of Bakugo using one hand to shoot his explosion powers out, and the other hand to focus it into a condensed beam, making for a mid-range blast of heat energy that can drill through even the toughest of substances. In terms of super moves, it really doesn't get more badass than that. One might be able to argue that Piccolo tears his arm off and grows a new one so often that this act could be considered the character's signature move. However, we're gonna go with the more obvious choice, the Special Beam Cannon. This move was first shown in the battle against Raditz, an ultra-powerful finishing attack developed by Piccolo to destroy Goku after losing to him a few years prior. While it wasn't exactly how he imagined it, Piccolo ended up using this attack on Goku, killing him and his brother in a desperate struggle to protect the planet. From then on, the Special Beam Cannon became one of Piccolo's go-to attacks, and while it might take a long time to charge up, it remains one of the most effective, powerful, and badass techniques in the series. After all, it did pierce through 2 Saiyans at once. It doesn't get much cooler than that. For quite a bit of time in Naruto, the titular character was without a signature move. Sure, he was incredibly adept at making a small army of shadow clones to overwhelm his enemies, but there was no special attack to call his own. At least not until Jiraiya came around and taught him how to use the Rasengan. Although it took some time for Naruto to fully grasp and master the basics behind the attack, he eventually learned to use the Rasengan, putting his own twist on it by using his specialty, making clones. The move eventually becoming his own signature attack, one that he'd go on to use in practically every fight he was a part of. Goku has had multiple signature techniques throughout the Dragon Ball franchise, so it was hard to choose just 2. And besides the Kamehameha, we'd say that the Spirit Bomb is his second most iconic attack, with instant transmission coming in as a close third. As many fans know, the Spirit Bomb consists of Goku gathering up the energy from nature and people around him into a massive ball that can obliterate practically anything. This attack was taught to Goku by King Kai, his first major usage of it being during his fight against Vegeta. While the Spirit Bomb has a pretty terrible track record of success since it failed to do its job in every instance, save for the battle against Buu, it's still one of the coolest attacks in the series, which is why we chose to include it as one of anime's coolest and most badass signature attacks of all time. Unlike Naruto, Sasuke Uchiha wasn't lacking in the special moves department. Not only did he have his Sharingan eyes, he also had the Uchiha clan Fireball Jutsu. As if that wasn't enough, he also gained another attack that had become one of his signature moves, the Chidori. Developed and taught to him by Kakashi, the Chidori is basically just a massive ball of pure electrical energy, which is as badass as it sounds. By concentrating electrical chakra into his hand, Sasuke can thrust the attack into his target to cause a massive amount of damage. Despite being taught the technique by a good guy, Sasuke would go on to use the Chidori as a villain, the move more or less acting as the counterpart to Naruto's Rasengan. Regardless, there's no denying how cool the Chidori is. We couldn't include the special moves of Dragon Ball without talking about the signature attack of the series' most iconic villain, Frieza. This irredeemable villain has a lot of attacks and techniques used throughout the franchise, but none were used as much as his Death Beam, a small, powerful, and decisive attack that he most often uses to take care of his victims with one move. The Death Beam is easily one of the scariest attacks in all of Dragon Ball, since despite its size, has taken down some of the strongest characters, including Gohan. On top of this, Frieza seems to be able to use the attack with relatively little effort, meaning he can just straight up laser someone to death with one motion of his finger. If all that isn't badass, then we don't know what is. Seriously, Frieza's Death Beam is not only one of the strongest signature attacks, it's also one of the coolest. While Fairy Tail hasn't quite reached the same popularity levels as other shonen manga, it's definitely worth checking out, if only for the unique and cool magical powers of the main character, Natsu Dragneel. Natsu is a dragon slayer, a wizard with the powers of a fire dragon plus the ability to gain magical energy by eating fire. This unique combination of powers makes for a lot of awesome fights, especially since Natsu can breathe fire like a dragon, with his signature attack being the Fire Dragon Roar. The move is simple, consisting only of gathering magical power and blowing it out as a massive breath of flames, but that doesn't make it any less cool or worthy of being on the list of most badass signature attacks. Just watching Natsu tear through enemies with his Fire Dragon Roar gets us all fired up. Yeah, see what we did there? You could argue that Vegeta's signature Gallic Gun is just a purple version of the Kamehameha, but that doesn't make it any less awesome. In fact, this actually added to Goku and Vegeta's first fight against each other, since it gave us one of the series' first beam struggles, an eventual signature element of the series. This also set Vegeta up as a counterpart to Goku. Regardless of this, we wanted to include the Gallic Gun in our video for 2 main reasons: the unique setup and awesome execution of the move itself, and the name. Seriously, how dope is it to call an attack the Gallic Gun? The first time the Vegeta's signature attack was used was also one of the most badass moments in Dragon Ball Z, so there's no way we would not include it in our list. In the world of Soul Eater, Meisters and weapons are paired together to fight off and reap the souls of evil demons. The series itself follows Soul Eater and Maka Albarn, an unlikely duo that actually acts as one of the strongest Reaper teams at their school. One of the reasons they're so powerful is due to their signature move, the Witch Hunter, an upgraded version of Soul's scythe form that's actually meant to hunt and reap witches. By resonating their soul wavelengths to the same frequency, Soul and Maka become perfectly in sync, and by doing so, it allows for stronger attacks, like the Witch Hunter. The Witch Hunter has been used to take on some of the series' strongest enemies, and it's not their only signature attack, since the team would eventually gain access to stronger versions of the Witch Hunter, like the Genie Hunter and the Kishin Hunter, all of which are absolutely badass. Although it's not often grouped with other action anime, Sailor Moon has plenty of awesome signature attacks. Some favorites include Sailor Mars's Fire Soul and Sailor Mercury's Bubble Spray. But the most iconic attack in the series was, without a doubt, Sailor Moon's Moon Tiara action. This strange but unique attack consists of Sailor Moon taking off her tiara and throwing it like a magical energy boomerang, attacking her target with incredible power and style. Again, it's kind of strange, but it very quickly became an iconic and beloved part of the series, due in no small part to its unique concept and interesting visuals. There's no denying how iconic, cool, and interesting her signature attack is. The thing is, we're not sure how effective throwing a tiara would be in real life, so don't try this at home. Colonel Roy Mustang's signature flame alchemy is more of a style than a specific attack, but we're gonna go ahead and count it, both because it's freaking badass and because despite being a full-fledged alchemist, Mustang relies solely on his flame style. And what a style it is! This form of alchemy consists of 2 steps. Roy creating a spark with his ignition gloves and then turning that spark into massive bursts of flames by transmuting the air around his targets. It's as deadly, violent, and gruesome as it sounds, but it's also one of the coolest visual spectacles in all of anime. The orange sparks bursting into electricity like fire that then explode targets into massive infernos. If all that's not enough to prove that flame alchemy is one of the coolest signature attacks in anime, we don't know what is. Just because you're dead doesn't mean you can't kick butt. Just look at Yusuke Urameshi of Yu Yu Hakusho, who could always rely on his Spirit Gun attack to get out of the toughest situations. While this signature attack didn't have all that much power at first, as Yusuke got stronger and stronger, it became one of the deadliest attacks in the series, eventually becoming nearly unstoppable when infused with demonic energy. Both because of its power and because of how frickin' cool it looks to shoot energy from a finger gun, we just had to include the attack in this video. As for how iconic and badass it is, just ask anyone who grew up watching Toonami. They'll agree that the Spirit Gun is right up there with the Kamehameha or the Destructo Disc. Without a doubt, Yusuke's Spirit Gun is one of the most badass signature moves in all of anime. As we stated in the intro of this video, non-anime fans often boil anime down to a bunch of dudes screaming at each other while some crazy battles happen. Gurren Lagann definitely fits this bill, due in no small part to the series' satirical nature, which cranks anime tropes up to 11 to make for eccentric, over-the-top fights that are a spectacle to behold. One of the best examples of this comes from the titular robot and its pilot's signature attack, the Giga Drill Break. The attack consists of Gurren Lagann ripping off its chest sunglasses, splitting them into 2, and then throwing them to bind its target before manifesting a massive drill that it attacks the target with, dealing massive damage and often defeating opponents. Seriously, with its awesome name, awesome visuals, and insane execution, there's no denying that Giga Drill Break is one of the most badass signature moves in all of anime. We couldn't talk about Gurren Lagann without also discussing the team behind its next anime series, Kill la Kill. An awesome satirical combination of action and magical girl anime that features a badass finishing move. Of course, we're talking about protagonist Ryuko Matoi's signature attack, Fiber Lost. The name is in reference to how, after defeating an opponent wearing a Goku uniform, Ryuko would then claim that suit's life fibers for her own, adding them to the power of her Kamui Senketsu. Both because this move adds to her power after each usage and because it has an awesome end of a samurai showdown feel, we want to include it in this list. Last and certainly not least, we have a signature attack from a series that parodies tropes like signature attacks, One Punch Man. This hit anime series is known for flipping the shonen genre on its head, making protagonist Saitama the strongest he could ever be, and exploring the comedy of his resulting boring hero life. Because the character is so powerful, all of his opponents are defeated in one punch. Thus, he often holds back his power in order to make the fights more interesting and/or not immediately pulverize his opponents. However, there are times when Saitama has to break out the closest thing he has to a signature attack, his serious punch. Named as such because it's literally just him punching with actual effort rather than humoring his opponent. The serious punch, on top of being insanely strong, is also incredibly hilarious, both of these things making it one of the most badass attacks in anime. So, there you have it, our picks for the most badass signature moves in all of anime. Do you agree with our picks? Did we leave any badass ones out? Let us know what you think down in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more anime videos. Thanks for watching.